What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So today, as I'm filming this is actually one of my favorite days of the entire lawn care year or lawn care season, and that day is Derby Day. It's always the first Saturday in May, and today is May 1st, so today is Derby Day, one of my favorite days, but it isn't because of the running of the ponies or because of any kind of mint juleps.
Oh, Mr. Bond, sit down, please. Mint julep?
You see, the reason I like this day so much is because it signifies a time of unity for all of us. Warm and cool seasons alike, coming together for a time of maximum green. Like you see back here. You see, because interestingly enough, this time of year is when all of our grass types, no matter where we live, are kind of either right at their peak or right at the end of their peak. But it's this kind of window right now where all of us are green. And I'm talking about folks all the way up north. You guys are at the peak of your green season, no doubt. Kentucky bluegrass, turf type tall fescue, down into the transition zone, perennial ryegrass, wherever you're growing that type of grass, right now, the later mid-spring, whatever time of spring this is, very beginning of May, this is your greatest time to shine. This is when your lawn will be looking its best. Probably the only other time it might look this good is in the fall time. And you know, if you're somebody that's been doing this for a while, you can keep it looking good in the summer, but right now is peak, beautiful, dark blue-green time for you cool season grass pretty much anywhere in the country. And interestingly enough, when you get down, you know, say into Georgia where folks are growing Bermuda grass, Bermuda's actually a lot slower to wake up than what you guys think. I've talked about this before. With Bermuda grass, it isn't necessarily the heat that is needed because there's plenty of heat. With Bermuda grass, what it needs is longer days. And we are now at that point where the days are long enough. I don't know about where you live, but here the sun is setting well after 8 p.m. now. Well, not well after, a couple minutes after, but a couple minutes after 8 p.m. now, which means the days are much longer. And even the Bermuda grass, which is the most alpha of all, but is also the slowest to wake up, even the Bermuda grass is raging in Georgia right now. Or I should say it's about to peak. You get what I'm saying, right? This is a time of unity for all of us. Of course, down here in Florida, my St. Aug has been looking beautiful for several weeks, several months. Well, year round pretty much, but you can see. And I don't know if you noticed, but in last week's video, it was looking a little needy, and that's just me understanding my lawn. You know, after you do this for a while, you kind of learn when your lawn needs something, when it doesn't. You can just sense it. It's like any relationship. You just know when it needs something and you give it what it needs to keep the relationship in line. Do you mean to tell me that your lawn reacts very much like your wife and other relationships in your world, son? That was supposed to be Dr. Phil, but it may have come out as Hank Hill. And I'm going to show you exactly how I did this, or really how you can do it at your house. And when I say that, I'm going to teach you the 3 primary elements that you need to look for in any fertilizer, not just the ones I sell. Of course, I'll link those below because that's what I do, but you can take the information that I'm going to teach you in this video, go to any store and find the 3 elements that I'm going to talk to you about today that turn the lawn green. And the idea here is that just because this is May 1st, we also have another very important day coming up at the very end of this month, and that is Memorial Day. Memorial Day is one of those days when you really want to have your lawn shining. If May 1st, Derby Day, is an awesome day, one of my favorite days, Memorial Day is one of my other favorite days, second favorite days. Think of it like the 1-2 punch of May. I'm gonna teach you how to do the 1-2 punch in May to get your lawn as green as possible, and now is the time to maximize it, no matter what your grass type is, and no matter where you live. Whew, rattled that one off. Too many cigars lately. All right, so I wanted to stop over here for a second. This is my Project Lawn Zoysia. And you can see how green this is, and I'm going to tell you exactly how this got so green. And that is mostly because of nitrogen. And that's what this particular lawn needed for sure. Zoysia, just like Bermuda, is a little bit slower to get going. Even though down here in Florida, things are still are plenty warm and we have long days and all that kind of stuff. The Zoysia, at least this Zoysia here, I have noticed it just needs a little bit harder kick in the pants. And I started it slow. I like to do that. I started with higher potassium, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I decided, now that the days are longer, it's time to start kicking it in the face with some nitrogen, and that's what I did. Now, I'll tell you, the lawn isn't perfect. This didn't make it perfect. It had some disease challenges, which it still does. I've stopped the disease, and that's another thing, just a quick myth. People think that nitrogen causes disease. I'll link up there in the eye to a video where I talk about that, because that's somebody reading university websites incorrectly. But, you know, you can see the place where the disease scars were. They're not cured. I mean, that's the whole thing. Nothing cures areas that have died back from either disease or insect or whatever. those are going to take a little bit longer to come back. But what you can see is that overall the lawn is looking better, and that is because I put down nitrogen. So nitrogen is the first number on the bag of fertilizer. So whether you go to the store or whether you get what I link in the description below, the first number, when you see 3 numbers on the bag of fertilizer, the first number represents nitrogen. And this time of year, right now, May, when we're all running fast, you want that to be higher. You definitely want that to be up somewhere north of 20. Now, there's some different ways that the nitrogen can be delivered. Some of it can be slow release, some of it can be immediate release, and even those terms are a little bit suspect, but they don't necessarily describe what it is. But the long and the short of it is, if you make sure you get a product, and again, if you want to go to the store and get it, please do, something that is higher in nitrogen, you're going to see better results quicker this time of year.
Out of all the elements that we find in fertilizers, nitrogen is the most important. As I have often said, nitrogen drives the bus. All of the other elements ride along on the bus, but nitrogen is what drives them. When it comes to the overall look of the lawn, it's nitrogen that gives grass its basic green color. And that's because nitrogen makes up a large part of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll's the green part of the leaves and the stems that you see. Light energy is taken in by chlorophyll and used to make sugars for the plant. We call this photosynthesis. Nitrogen is also very important when it comes to regulating plant growth. The more leaf surface the plant has, the more sun it can absorb. And of course that makes sense because that makes the grass thicker. Never forget, nitrogen drives the bus. If you want a green lawn, you'll have nitrogen in every single application you make all year long.
So nitrogen is the first number on the bag of fertilizer. So whether you go to the store or whether you get what I link in the description below, the first number, when you see 3 numbers on the bag of fertilizer, the first number represents nitrogen. And this time of year, right now, May, when we're all running fast, you want that to be higher. You definitely want that to be up somewhere north of 20. Now, there's some different ways that the nitrogen can be delivered. Some of it can be slow release, some of it can be immediate release, and even those terms are a little bit suspect, but they don't necessarily describe what it is. But the long and the short of it is, if you make sure you get a product, and again, if you want to go to the store and get it, please do, something that is higher in nitrogen, you're going to see better results quicker this time of year. Okay, now the second element in the fertilizer that you want to look for that's going to help you get the greenest grass possible is potassium, or potash. Potassium does a lot of things for plants, a lot of things for lawns. Let's go over those real quick.
The next element that you're going to want to look for in any fertilizer you purchase is potassium. When you look at the 3 numbers on the bag of fertilizer, potassium is the 3rd, and you're going to want this to be well above 3 or even 4 if you can find it. The long and the short of it is potassium reduces stress, and a stress-free plant can be greener and taller and healthier and look more vigorous, which means it will dominate the stressed out lawns of your neighbors.
So you can see potassium is extremely important, but one of the things that I like about it, again, we're DIYers, we have to have the visuals too, and that's part of what all of that I teach is I want you to get a healthy lawn, I want you to get healthy soil, but if I can help you get visual results along the way, then you're gonna go further, you're gonna go deeper, and you're gonna wanna explore more and learn more. But I gotta get you the visuals first. That's just how the world works, right? So potassium is another one of those, when it's higher in your fertilizer, it's gonna give you a green color. And I've always said for many years that potash or potassium gives your lawn a truer green color. And that's really nice because it's that bottom end green, that nice truest green. Not hunter green, but just that truest green color, that base layer of beautiful green. That's what potash does when you put it down. Now, I actually have fertilizers that are higher in potassium and a little bit lower in nitrogen, and they get great results too, but only because they also include the 3rd element in our list.
Now, when it comes to iron, we're going to mention a familiar term we've mentioned before, and that is chlorophyll. Iron is directly involved in the manufacturing process of chlorophyll and is required for many enzyme functions in the plant. The biggest reason we as DIYers prefer iron in our fertilizers is because it's what gives your lawn the deeper, darker blue-green color that truly dominates your neighbors.
So iron is what gives lawns that blue-green color, and that kind of balances out the bottom end green that you get from the potassium as well as the straight up green and sheen that you get from the nitrogen. When you find a fertilizer that has all 3 of those in it, you are going to get results. You're gonna have a greener lawn within a few days after the application. Now, here's the thing. Each time you see these elements and there's a number on the bag, that number stands for the percentage. So for example, in this fertilizer here, a 2406, that means 24% of that bag, everything in that bag is nitrogen, 6% of everything in that bag is potassium or potash, and then you can see here on the corner, 3% of everything in that bag is iron. The higher those amounts, the greener your lawn should be. It's literally that logical, and it is literally that simple to understand the results that you're going to get. Now I want you to keep in mind, we're talking about May applications right now. Every single one of you can use the same fert right now. Again, because of what I talked about in the beginning, we're all at peak or just entering peak, or we're at the back end of the peak, but we're all somewhere real close to the peak. So higher nitrogen, some potassium, and some iron is perfect for everyone right now. Now when you get to summer, things will change, and if you subscribe to the channel here, I'll talk about that. One really important free resource that you can get right now, I'll link it below. I just wrote a guide on how to read a soil test, but as I go through that how to read a soil test, I actually talk about the different elements that are inside of fertilizer and what they mean and how to understand that, how to interpret that fertilizer. And even though again it talks about the fertilizers I sell, you can take that information that I teach you there and go to any store and apply it and get any fertilizer at the store that you want to. And I really encourage you to do that. You don't have to give me any email address, nothing. It's just below. It's a PDF guide that's linked. You can just get it right now and download it. And I guarantee you'll come away learning something if you get that free guide on how to read and interpret and set up a strategy based on a soil test. And I'll tell you a little bit more about soil tests in 1 second, and then we'll be done with the video here. But a lot of you are gonna ask, okay, Alan, you showed us all this. The 3 elements we need are nitrogen, potassium, and iron. Where do I get that? Well, all of the lawns that you've seen here have been hit with my flagship blend, the 2406, within the last couple 2 or 3 weeks. That is what has produced this color. And by the way, that's not just from me. If you go on Facebook, where a lot of folks are showing their results and throwing down, and they've bought this fertilizer, you will see some of the things that they're saying. I don't have to oversell it or undersell it. All I have to do is just show you what they're saying. These are people just saying and showing their results. It works. Now, why does it work? And this goes back to the soil test. A lot of people will tell you these days, you can't do anything to your lawn until you get a soil test, and that is absolutely not true. Just as I mentioned earlier, that I want you to get some visual results. I want you to see some progress in your lawn, because I know when you see progress, then you're gonna go deeper, then you're gonna get the soil test. That is what Flagship is for. Now, it can be used for a lot of other things, but what I know about Flagship is it contains those 3 elements, plus some other minors, but it contains those because it's gonna get you results. You're gonna throw down Flagship and you're gonna see results, period. All the spreader settings are there for all the common spreaders, and if you put that down, you will see results within 5 to 7 days, more like 7 days or so. The results kick in around 4 or 5, but it's that 7th and 8th day that it really kicks in, and that is what I encourage you to do. Throw that Flagship down. You will have a green lawn well before Memorial Day, leading up to Memorial Day, and then you'll be ready to go further, learn more, get deeper into this lawn care nuttery thing, and have a beautiful lawn all summer. So with that, I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Lots of helpful links below, and I'll see you in the lawn.